Yo, what's up, guys? And today, man, coming at y'all with, in my opinion, my 5 NBA players that I think will take a huge leap come the 2023 NBA season. Always love seeing young players go out and just hoop. Remember last year, Anthony Simons, Tyrese Maxie, so many young players went ahead and took a huge leap. Jordan Poole, and my peak conversation, John Morant, went from a really good player to an even really good player, an elite player, an all NBA guy, an all-star game starter. I just love seeing players just prosper, especially these prospects. They come up super young, really just raw prospects. They come into the NBA, take a little bit to get used to everything, and then they carve out a role for themselves, and then they become all-stars. Like last year, Darius Garland came out of literally nowhere, was a pretty good player, but then he became a really good player. He was amazing last year. Darius Garland was one of my favorite players last year to watch in the NBA, and I want to see more of that this year, okay? But other than that, let's get straight into the video, okay? All right, so coming in at number 5, I have Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. Okay, I get it. Jalen Brunson is a guy that probably will be a star this season. He just signed a deal, 4 years, $104 million. You would expect him to take the next leap this season, and they're paying him star money. Jalen Brunson next year, there's no reason in my mind I don't think that he should elevate his game to where he should be an all-star next year. He's getting paid all-star money. He's on a team now with Julius Randle, who was very underwhelming last season, and RJ Barrett, who's ascending into a star player. And then you have these young players in Grimes and McBride and Sims. Just have a really young core of people on that team. Even now, when guys say Harden trying to be your backup center, so they're looking like they're a team that is at least trying to get into the playoff hunt. So you got a guy like Jalen Brunson. Obviously, we saw that series he had last year against the Utah Jazz. Jalen Brunson is a guy that is a really good scorer, but really good around the rim, and does have a really good shot. But this is a guy, like I said, there's no reason in my mind I don't think that Jalen Brunson should not at least attempt to be an all-star next year, because he's getting paid a ton of money that if it's not an all-star next year, I'll be pretty disappointed, okay? I would be pretty disappointed, because this is a guy that has all the tools. Yeah, he might not be the greatest defender, but on the offensive side of the ball, there's not really a point on the court where I think he can't really excel at. Like I said, he's really crafty. He has an insanely good bag, really just a game full of finesse. Go out, create his own shot. Obviously, he can pass the basketball. I just want to see really the cohesion between him and Randall and Barry, potentially if they go out and get a guy like Donovan Mitchell. And I really just want to see him also try to at least attempt to work on his defense, because he is a shorter guard. It's not obviously easier to guard some of the greatest point guards in the NBA, but that's probably going to be the matchup for RJ Barrett, potentially being the best defender of the team, I would say, by a considerable amount. So yeah, my number 5 pick is definitely going to be Jalen Brunson. I see him taking the lead. I see him becoming potentially an all-star. I just see him having, hopefully for Knicks fans, a better year than he had last year. Even though he did have a really good year last year, he was in shadow of Luka Doncic. Now he should have his own team. Basically, it's going to be him and RJ Barrett, and then number 3 option would be Julius Randle. Again, depending on if they go out and get Donovan Mitchell or not. Okay. Coming in at number 4, I have Anthony Edwards, a guy that I would say right now is a current star player. Anthony Edwards, in my opinion, has the ability to become an all-NBA caliber player. Obviously, has the tools to also become an MVP in the future. And this is a guy that also probably be coming to that most improved player conversation. This is a guy that has, like I said, all the intangibles, all the tools, really good frame to be eventually a really good defender, an insanely good shot creator, really good around the rim, insanely athletic. He has all the tools to become one of the best players in basketball, and I really want to see a full year of him become the best option on the team instead of Karl Anthony Towns. Personally, I just want to see Anthony Edwards be the number 1 option. We see this is more becoming now of it's always really been like a forwards league. Technically, I guess now Anthony Edwards is the 2 for doing my mental notes right here, because Patrick Beverley is gone. Pat Beverley last year was playing the 2, and now they should have Rudy Gobert, so Ant will be slotted back into the 2, even though he can play the 3. He's basically a shooting guard and small forward, so I can definitely see Anthony becoming an all-star. I can see him sneaking into All-NBA as well. All-NBA, again, the fact that he plays shooting guard, small forward, he has a greater chance of becoming an All-NBA guy, because there's not really any restrictions. We saw DeMar DeRozan last year was playing mostly power forward. He got in for a guard, so again, there's not really too many restrictions. I did hear Adam Silver or something like that. They were talking about they need more restrictions in terms of that, because these players are playing positions, and then they're getting marked in the All-NBA for not even playing that position, and then taken away from people who actually play that position. So yeah, Anthony Edwards, I definitely see him taking the next leap. He just has all the tools to become one of the greatest players in the NBA currently. I just want to see a full year of him this season. Timberwolves go out and make Ant your number one option. Cat is cool, but we've seen Cat in the playoffs when he wasn't doing his thing. Who was doing his thing? Anthony Edwards, man. Anthony Edwards was out here doing his thing. I just want to see him get more shots and just become the number one option of the team. And I see him taking a huge leap, becoming an All-NBA guy, becoming an All-Star. Honestly, should have been an All-Star this year, but he got snubbed. But people are now more hip to him, giving him his respect. And I think he's going to take a huge leap next season for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coming in at number 3, I have Tyrese Haliburton of the Indiana Pacers, a guy that I am a huge fan of. I didn't watch him too much in college, so I was really pleasantly shocked how good he was with Sacramento, especially last season before they traded him to the Pacers. And they traded obviously for Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday. Just seeing him play alongside De'Aaron Fox, it was cool, but obviously realized that they really just couldn't coexist in a positive light because they're both really technically point guards. Even though Haliburton is the way better passer, Fox is obviously better around the rim, and then Haliburton's obviously the better shooter, even though with this wonky jump shot still goes in, but shout out to him. Okay, it's a guy that another year with being the guy in the team. Malcolm Brogdon's gone, so you don't have to worry about playing in the backcourt with a ball dominant guard because Brogdon's gone. Miles Turner probably will be on his way out, so it's really just going to be him, Duarte, and Benedict Mathurin. I'm not too sure, but Mathurin can play the 3, or if they're going to play him off the bench, Duarte off the bench. They have a good amount of guards, so I don't really want to see how they go ahead and mix and match with that. But Haliburton's a guy I can definitely see taking the next leap for the Pacers. Another year being the guy in the team. He has all the intangibles. Also, this is a guy that everything goes well, he can definitely be an all-star. To be literally one of the best point guards in the NBA. He just probably needs to work on just his consistency and becoming a more consistent player all around in terms of jump shooting, in terms of developing some sort of defense, because he's a decent frame. He can be a good defender. You just gotta lock in defensively, and I really think he can be, like I said, one of the best point guards in the NBA. A really good player. Came into the league, like I said, I didn't know too much about him, but over the last couple of years I became a huge fan of him. I just can't wait to see how his development continues to improve throughout the years, now being on the Pacers and having a really good role now on the Pacers. Coming in at number 2, I have Tyrese Maxie, another Tyrese from the Sixers. Maxie is a guy that obviously would have been better if he didn't have to share backcourt with James Harden. I mean, I don't know if I can say that because Harden is literally showing him his moves. Literally. He literally is showing him the step back and this and that. Love or hate Harden, James Harden has an insane bag, and to be able to have a guy like Harden, an elite scorer in the NBA, is such a treat for Tyrese Maxie. He can go ahead and get in the lab with James Harden to teach him his moves, and just an insanely good player, really good shooter. He's more of, I would say, of a shooting guard instead of a point guard. He can play make, but he's not really there to play make. He's there to shot create, get to the rim. Another one of those finesse players that just has all around skill, and it really does help him that, like I said, Harden is literally teaching him his ways, getting him in the lab, working on shots together, and depending on if they go ahead and trade away a guy like Tobias Harris, that's going to open up an even bigger role for him, because I really feel like he's the 3rd best player in this team behind Embiid and Harden for most of last year. Don't forget, Tyrese Maxie was outperforming most of the players in the Sixers last year, not named Joel Embiid. And when Joel Embiid was out, Tyrese Maxie was getting his, and he was playmaking, he was doing his thing. So if you guys get Tobias Harris out of there, you're going to see an even better Tyrese Maxie, and especially another year of him working with James Harden and working on his game and working on his touch, working on potentially being better at getting to the free throw line. We know how Harden to get to the free throw line, one of the league's craftiest players around the rim, knowing how to finesse his way to the free throw line. Imagine that with Tyrese Maxie. Then you have Joel Embiid, who obviously does that like no other. It's really going to be a scary year for Tyrese Maxie if he just goes out, continues to work on his game, becomes more consistent, and stays in the lab with James Harden and continue to mold his game. All right, coming in at number 1, I have Kelton Johnson of the Spurs. This is a guy that not too many people would think I would have number 1 on this list. Kelton Johnson is a guy that most people really don't talk about, but he was literally one of the league's best shooters last year. And obviously the news with DeJounte Murray being out, who else would be the guy on the Spurs to go off really? It's just Kelton Johnson, respectfully, okay? Kelton Johnson is a guy that last year had a breakout season, really went under the radar because, again, it's the Spurs. Only people that really get talked about on the Spurs last year was DeJounte Murray, who deservedly, as he had an all-star year, he was one of the best two-way players in basketball last year. Now he's on the Hawks. And obviously, as well, recently, Kelton Johnson went ahead and just signed an extension for 4 years, $80 million, $20 million a year for a guy that he started at the small forward position. Got him the 2019 draft at 29th overall. And I don't know if they really expected him to be this good, but he's been a really good player. Really went under the radar behind DeJounte Murray. And other guy there, like I said, he goes under the radar. It's Kelton Johnson. Nobody really talks about the Spurs too much unless it's DeJounte Murray. But Kelton Johnson is a guy that is an insanely good shooter. And I just really want to see him this year working on creating his own shot. Last year with DeJounte Murray, obviously, you only have to create your shot as much as you probably should have because you have one of the best playmakers in basketball in DeJounte Murray. Now his playmaker is Josh Primo, respectfully, and we'll see how that kind of turns around. But I do expect Kelton Johnson to take the next leap. I do expect Kelton Johnson next year to take a huge leap. I expect him to, last year he averaged what, 18 points a game. I expect him to average 20 plus. I would hope so, losing a 20-point per game score. And like I said, one of the league's best playmakers. I would expect the next guy in line to be Kelton Johnson. He just went ahead and paid him $20 million a year. He should play like that, and it's really the number one option of the team now without DeJounte Murray. So there's literally nobody else that should be going off that's not Kelton Johnson. It's one of these players that, again, if he just continues to work on creating his own shot, it can be a really good player. He is a really good player. The only knock would have in this game is not even a knock on him. It's because he had one of the best playmakers in basketball last year that he didn't create his own shot as much as he should have. And then we saw him in the playing game. He had an atrocious game. So I just want to see him continue to work on pretty much everything. Defense, playmaking the basketball. Now without DeJounte Murray, add that to his game because they're probably going to end up putting a lot of coverage now on him now that he's the number one option. That's how you be a guard is the number one option now. So I want to see if he gets accustomed to that. And like I said, just learn to create his own shot because he is going to be the focal point of the defense this year without DeJounte Murray. So I want him to be ready for that, and I want him to absolutely excel and get the Spurs fans something to be happy about this year, because this year is going to be very, very tough for them unless they go out and take for Victor Wembanyama and somehow the lottery pick falls in their hands. Then we'll see what happens with that, okay? But yeah, yo, that is my opinion. The 5 players I think will go off this year in the 2023 NBA season. But if you guys have anybody you think was going to go off next year, that is my opinion. Like I said, who I think will go off this season. Like I said, comment down below. Who do you guys think will go off this year? A lot of players that can go off. I try to target players that could make a leap to All-NBA, could make a leap to All-Star, and players that I just really see going off next year. Like I said, I love seeing players just go off, and might as well just try to see if I can predict who goes off. That would just be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? But other than that, yo, that is the video. Go down below, drop a like, comment down below, subscribe to me on Twitch, Twitter, and to like your boy John. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm out, man. Peace.